Hi there, I'm Matt Keene. Welcome to Creating a Future We Want, the Evaluative Evolution series. Here we are in eastern North Carolina, on an island, growing a garden. What is a garden? I've been asking myself this question quite often recently, and so I decided to ask the authority on all things, the Wikipedia. The wicked Wikipedia. I was like, wicked? Wikipedia? Great. Wikipedia says that a garden is something that is planned, generally outside. It is for the cultivation and display and enjoyment of plants and other forms of nature. It says that one of the common features of all gardens is, even the wildest gardens, is control. Whoa, holy macaroni. You know, definitions, I find, especially for wicked concepts, questions, situations, problems, can be good and bad. They can be good in that they often start conversations. Like the definitions, they're engaging because they start a conversation. They can be bad because they're often the end of the conversation. It's like, here's the definition. Oh, thank you. Go about our day. Bogus. What is a wicked problem? I often think about wicked questions, wicked systems, wicked situations. You know, complex is another word but we're not going to talk about that business. Wicked, a problem where there's like no end. Maybe there's no finish line. You're not going to solve the problem and then everybody goes home and never thinks about it again. There's nothing super definitive or precise. Like no one's written a cookbook, and if you follow these and steps exactly, then all's gonna work out great. You can't go out if you got a wicked problem. Let's say how things we talk about with girls all the time here in our education, or try to, what is equality? What is freedom? How much inequality is tolerable? How much what is ideal freedom? How do we address the climate crisis? What is money? These are some of the questions that we ask that I would put into the wicked question, wicked challenge, problem category. Every time you ask them in a different situation, they're unique. Asking a question about them leads to more questions. You can't go into a laboratory, figure out all the answers to the question or the problem, and then go out in the world and it works everywhere. These are some of the characteristics, the features of a wicked problem. My buddy Justin was over recently. Love Justin. Justin, love you. If you should ever watch this. We were talking about agriculture. He did research in agricultural systems and pesticide, herbicide application and management. Oh my gosh, terrible stuff we have done to the world. I enjoyed our conversation to our soils, our waters, our plants, our food, our nutrition, our bodies, ourselves, herbicide, pesticide, homicide. I loved that conversation so much. We had so many great questions that came up. We both wanted to continue the conversation. We didn't want it to end. We were learning so much from each other, understanding each other's values. So important. Like, what is a garden? This is a wonderful question, one that I can take with me through the rest of my life. Maybe you've got a question you can ask, right, that you can take with you through the rest of your life. What is parenting? What is a good life? What is the purpose of life? What is the purpose of my job? What is the purpose of what is nature? What is beauty? These are some wicked questions that I like to carry along. Maybe you would too. What is a garden? Like, who called a garden first? Was that 5,000 years ago? 30,000 years ago? Why did they do it? What was it before that point that they didn't call it a garden? Like, what caused them not to say garden in whatever language was being spoken at the time? What changed that led to them to call it this thing? Why did other people like that notion of garden and continue to use it? when do we lose our gardeniness? Like when I pull one leaf off of this lima bean plant, is it no longer a garden? No, probably not. It's probably still a garden. If I rip out the lima beans and rip out the cucumbers, believe everything else, is it still a garden? If I take away the fence, the lima beans, the lettuce, the cucumbers, and dig out a few shovelfuls of soil, is it still a garden? If I prevent all hummingbirds and dragonflies from entering this space, is it still a garden? If I rip out everything and leave one plant that's very healthy, is it still a garden? What if it's very unhealthy? Is it still a garden? Who decides if it's still a garden? When do we lose our gardeniness? You know, if a garden and gardening is a value of ours, of humanity's, how do we keep track of what it was at one point and what it is? Is the way I see a garden today the way that a garden was seen in the past? Am I seeing something that's some terrible abstraction from what a garden was once, and I am imagining that this is some beautiful thing, but someone from some point in the past would see this and think, what an atrocity. We would never call this a garden. I've asked a lot of questions in this written post in this Substack, The Garden is Wicked Part 2. I'd love it if you'd respond to like one or any of these questions in the comments. Let's start a conversation. Otherwise, I just keep talking to myself, which doesn't seem to bother me. I'm Matt Keene. Thanks for visiting Creating a Future We Want, the Evaluative Evolution series.